It's always seen as like a practitioner or a meditator is kind of like a farmer. If you organic farmer, yeah, and it's important that word organic, and so every suffering and all our nature things are organic in the sense that they're transformative. You can transform things, so things don't just come out of nothing. It goes from one state to the next. So all our emotions, all our suffering, all our ideas, they come from this kind of like um, activity, one type of energy to another, one form to another. So in our practice, we always see that mm, things are, and that's very related to impermanence, right? Things are changing and moving. So our practice is to train ourselves to know how to take care of it. So when we're more mindful, we know how to take care of it. Just like the farmer knows how to take care of the farm. Which seeds to plant, which seeds to how to take care of it when they get to certain stages, and how to weed, how to take care of the land, and how to leave it alone when you're done, and trust in the nature of things, the air, the sky, the rain, the clouds. So the farmer, that comparison can inform us a lot in how we take care of our lives, like what kind of seeds, what kind of things we want to plant. Uh, so do we want more anger, more jealousy, more resentment, or do we want more peace, more calm, and kindness? So the meditation practice, the mindfulness practice, help us cultivate a kind of awareness and a direction to make these seeds bigger. So there's certain things we like, and there's certain things that are not helpful. That's how it is, when you do good, and not only you benefit, but other people benefit. When you hate and harm, you think you benefit. When you're greedy and stingy and so on, you think you benefit, but actually it's hard for you to sleep. You become very suspicious of other people. That happened to me. So in a way, you gotta understand and be mindful of what you're cultivating in your mind. So meditation, another word for it is cultivation. You see the farmer metaphor? So in daily life, we train to be more mindful of the present moment. So it allows us to, it's like, oh, what seeds am I watering? You see? So this is very, very important, because many of us, we are transmitted habits and ideas and notions from our ancestor, from our upbringing, from our culture, and we don't have time to look at it. Is this really good for me? Or is it like, and so it's very important. So more and more we practice, we have more energy and concentration. When you have concentration, if you do meditation regularly, you live deeply each moment, then you're always examining things, investigating. It's like, oh, why did this rise? Why did that, or why did that go away and make me feel like this? So you're always investigating what happens emotionally, psychologically, and physically. And so this is in our daily life. If we live and train like that, then challenges and stuff, it can be dealt with more skillfully, and we learn how to live in a way that nourishes the goodness in us, and it helps us, live more peaceful, more happy. So these are not just concepts. Like, it's training in daily life, how you cook, how you are at the computer. So, so training to be aware of your body is one. When you move, you do walking meditation, aware of your steps. So it slows you down. And it's like, oh, it's very slow and inefficient. You should rush. Yeah? But you look at people who rush. Are they more efficient? So on. See the consequence of that. So walking meditation, eating meditation. meditation, these kind of things help us cultivate that energy of awareness. And that helps us. That helps us in dealing with whatever arises. See, so this farmer is not afraid when things happen beyond their control or like not, as they plan. So they cause them suffering. They're not afraid of it. Like, they know how to handle suffering. So it's organic. You see, so if you cultivate, you know how to cultivate, then you don't know how to reuse the suffering, the compost. If you know how to have time to look at it, they're turning the compost, right? So it doesn't become sour and resentment and, all these tight emotions that we hold on. It's like, I don't want ever to talk to my dad for 6 years, man. People don't go talking to their parents for 6 years. Dang, that's like crazy. But you understand why, though, because they don't know how to turn the compost. So it becomes very sour and they get sick. So this is something, if we know how, the skills of turning the compost, understanding its nature, having time to look at it, look at the different elements of it, looking at our own grasping and avoidance. And so you begin to understand it more. And that's what it means to turn the compost, to look into suffering. You understand its nature, that will reveal to you what to do and not to do. So you don't continue to ruminate on your, oh man, he's so like that. So you create these ideas. And so the compost, the suffering, becomes a source, a rich soil, right? And then it helps other fruits and plants that you want to cultivate, of understanding, compassion, forgiveness, hope, conviction, direction, care, acceptance of the other person. So you blame less. You don't blame outward and you don't blame inward. You just kind of, now your life is to investigate. Like, why did this happen? And famous story of the farmer is saying that, when the lettuce doesn't grow like it's supposed to, the farmer doesn't get angry at the lettuce. It figures out what they did the next season, it improves. It's ridiculous for you to sit there and yell at the fruit tree because it's not, it's like, why didn't you do it, grow properly? And, like the way, the farmer never, understands like, oh, okay, I timed it wrong. The season's different this year. So you look at your life like that. It's like, why did this happen? What's the nature? So you begin to investigate everything. That's what I mean, a full-time student. And things, especially when things go wrong, it's a great time. Like, why did I react to that? Why did they react to that? Like, greed, anger, resentment, notion of who they are, identity, judgment, shame, guilt, identity, the idea of who you are and all that. Oh man, big block. Yeah. I mean, it's good, you can't hide from that, who you are and your particular character. But we get so tied up in it. And you can easily suffer when someone messes with your identity or your concept of who you are. I'm not Bob. I'm Smith, or something like that. Or like, there's a lot of issue with that right now. That comes from my looking at how I went through that as well. So I don't blame them. It's like the process. Hopefully they wake up from it. So this idea of self in the modern language is identity, your ID, who you are, right? I'm type A, I'm kind, I'm Scorpio, I'm, extrovert, introvert, I'm ADD, I'm, borderline, autistic, I'm socially in depth, what is it? Now they have a neuro challenge, neurodiverse.
Diversion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neurodiverse. I had somebody who is multi-personality. Oh man, fluid, they call it, fluid personality. He's like three personality in one, and he's like, oh, now I'm Karen, and oh man, but he's gonna lead to a lot of suffering because it's very related to his idea of each one. Although he's like, it sounds like he's tolerant of different personality, but yeah, if he's not careful, he can really, really suffer when someone mess with your who you think your personality is. And you think it's like, wow, you have three personality? That's amazing. But it's still personality. Yeah, you're gonna suffer. So limit yourself. It's like, present moment, man. Don't have a notion of who you are. Let the moment dictate it. So you don't react from a preconceived notion of who you are. But it's hard. It's hard. Because we do, these are things that we do just from habit and so on.